Yo, what's going on guys? Ian77 here. In today's video, we're going to be playing the best hog deck after the balance changes in Clash Royale. Alright, so hopping in the first match here, we're going to be facing this guy, and he's going to be running Tombstone. So, as you guys may have seen recently, Earthquake is super OP right now, it feels like, and I feel like the main reason for that is just because of all those buildings like Tombstone and Cannon and even Elixir Collector now, which is actually quite strong, I've noticed. So that's why EQ is super strong, and I feel like this deck might make a little bit of a comeback. I'm not sure if it will be like better than the Queen version yet. I feel like it might be the best Hog EQ deck if you play it super well, but I feel like it's definitely a lot harder to play than the Hog Queen deck. So yeah, but if you guys take the time to learn this deck, it will be super strong for you. And even when Queen is strong, this deck is still quite good. It's just not always quite as good, but I feel like after the Ice Spirit buff, I feel like it's just actually super OP right now. Like the Ice Spirit's definitely like quite a bit and quite noticeably better. And also the Queen did get a small nerf, so it kind of made me want to try out this deck. And yeah, it feels super good. And by the way, guys, what version of Hog do you actually play? Like, are most of you guys who watch me playing this version that I'm using today, or have a lot of you guys leveled up the Queen version because of how OP it was? Because I mean, the Queen version is obviously OP, and it might still be OP for quite some time, but I do think that in the end it's probably going to get nerfed pretty hard. Like, the Queen did get just like a small nerf recently, but I feel like it's quite likely that it will get another nerf sometime soon. At least I hope so, because it's still like pretty much just as OP as before. I mean, definitely not just as OP, but still like very strong. So yeah, really just because of the 3-card cycle. And actually, even surprisingly, I have seen Mirror quite a bit, and yeah, so I could even consider adding like Mirror into a deck like this, maybe over like Ice Spirit or something. Not really sure how the meta will shape up yet, so it's a little bit early to like make too many judgments, but I do really like this Hog deck, and it's always really solid. And honestly, like, the Queen was a little bit annoying for this deck to deal with. I mean, especially like in mirror matchups with like Hog Rider and stuff. So it is quite nice that Queen should hopefully be toned down a little bit. It still will be OP, but maybe just a little bit less OP. So looking forward to this new meta. Honestly, I'm really a big fan of the Elixir Collector, so I am quite happy to see it possibly returning in the meta. I feel like it'll definitely at least be decent, and maybe even decks like Three Musketeers will be good, but it'll probably just be mainly a meta dominated by EQ cycle. And this will be a good game here. Really easy win against Lava Loon, which is honestly not the easiest matchup. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we're going to be up against this guy, and I'm just going to cycle a log here at the start. Don't really want to waste our Firecracker or anything like that. Alright, and he's going to go for a Ghost here, so just going to go for a Valkyrie. And yeah, so he could be playing Bridge Spam. Okay, it does have Golden Knight, so actually could still be either Bridge Spam with Magic Archer, or could even be like some, yeah, I was gonna say it could be a Three Musketeers deck, and it looks like it will be Three Musketeers here, but honestly just gonna cycle an EQ on his Three Musketeers there, just to kind of like damage them down, and hopefully like the Firecracker in combination with that can kind of clear everything out, and it looks like it did pretty nicely. So yeah, really good defense right here. I'm not really too worried about wasting our EQs, because even if he does go for like an Elixir Collector, we can cycle back to another EQ super quickly, so I doubt he'll get like too much value out of it. But the Elixir Collector is quite OP right now. Like, it gets a positive Elixir trait against every single spell in the game except of Earthquake, so yeah, I could see it being quite OP, but at the same time, Earthquake is really popular in itself, so it could kind of mitigate the pump usage, but we'll have to see. And I'm not even sure exactly what version of Three Musketeers this guy is using, but just gonna try to protect our things here. And honestly, the Ice Spirit buff was super noticeable. Like, I feel like the Ice Spirit before just had like a quick stun, like not as quick as the E Spirit, but still like quite quick. But right now you can actually like feel that the troop actually gets stuck in place for like a good second. I mean, even over a second right now, but it feels like it actually gets kind of stuck for a little bit. So definitely noticed the Ice Spirit buff. I feel like the Ice Spirit is quite strong right now, but the other spirits are also super strong still, so even though it is really strong, it's not like the best spirit or anything, but I feel like it's definitely starting to come close to the strength of the other spirits, at least in cycle decks. Like, it's not going to be good in like some of those heavier decks, or like just like random decks with like E-Spirit or whatever else, but I feel like Iceberg will definitely be good in the decks that it's normally used in. And it might be good in Expo too now, but I'm not really too sure, to be honest. I feel like it's at least going to be very good in this Hog deck, but Fire Spirit definitely is still very strong, and it kind of just like is a matter of which fits better with your deck, because I feel like Fire Spirit is better with the Queen version of this deck, even after the buff probably, but when you have the Firecracker in there, it is a little bit better to have Ice Spirit. Like, Ice Spirit actually must be like super OP right now against stuff like Balloon and all of that stuff, just having like such a long freeze time, so yeah, it is nice to have. And Hog will get one swing there. I feel like Hog is going to be honestly a pretty solid win condition this season. Like, this meta will probably be like very control based, but the thing is, most people are running Canyon right now. Like, before it was a little bit harder to play Hog, like a few months ago, and they had like all those Tesla decks running around, or kind of just like trending in the meta, but right now it's actually mostly decks with Cannon in them and stuff, so it is quite a bit better for this deck, just because it's really easy to get your Hogs to break through when they only have Cannon, since you can just Earthquake them to fully shut them down. So yeah, it should be quite a nice deck this season. I've seen like a lot of crazy like mirror EQ decks, and could even consider adding mirror in this deck, like I said, but I might like switch a few cards out and see what kind of works the best. But I would say for now this is probably the best Hog deck in the meta, but you guys can definitely experiment with other things, because I'm sure there will be some crazy Hog decks popping up sometime soon. And even Giant Skeleton did actually get a buff. I don't know if you guys remember, but a few months ago I actually did share like or maybe not a few months ago, but like maybe like 2 months ago or so, I shared like a really good Hog Giant Skeleton deck, and since Giant Skeleton did get quite a big buff, I feel like it actually could be a good deck again, so I might give it a try. Like, I know Tombstone did get nerfed, but I don't think that the Tombstone nerf affected it almost at all, so I feel like that Giant Skeleton, Hog, and Archer Queen deck could actually be quite OP once again, so I'll get you guys a video out on that soon. I could see some Giant Skeleton Hog decks popping into the meta soon. Alright, and I wasn't really talking about this game too much. It's kind of straightforward, and it's actually a Mrs. Snowball right there. And yeah, Firecracker will splash, and that will be a good game. Alright, hopping in the next match here, we will have Hog in our starting hand, so just gonna go with the Hog first play here in a second. Always good to go with Hog first play. Always like saying that, just in case there are some new viewers here. Don't really know like how many of you guys are daily viewers, or like every other day viewers, and how many of you guys are just newer viewers. Okay. By the way, guys, I didn't really notice this in the earlier games, but I feel like the new map is really weird. Like, I did hear some people complaining about it on Twitter. Like, it is kind of weird with like the railroad tracks there in the middle. Like, it kind of makes it look like your troops aren't as high, or like are higher up than they actually are. Like, if you play a Tesla like at the top of the arena, like right next to the bridge, it will look like it's placed one tile lower than it actually is. So it's kind of weird with the arena, but honestly not as bad as I'm not sure if you guys remember, but it's not as bad as that one arena, like for I think it's used in 2v2 now, or like some casual game mode, either 2v2 or like touchdown or something. I kind of forgot, but it has like the running background or something, where it kind of has like some goblins like running, and then it has like some things moving super quickly, which kind of irritates the eye. So at least it's not that, but yeah, still a little bit weird here. And we will be facing a golem deck here, so pretty happy to have Firecracker, to be honest. Firecracker is really nice against golem, even though he does have arrows in his deck. We can always cycle multiple Firecrackers, so it is always nice to have the Firecracker. And he does actually go for a zap there. Wasn't really like paying too much attention or really expecting that zap at all, so he will get those E-barbs to our tower, but luckily we did kind of save it with the Tesla here. He will actually take quite a good amount of our tower, but I'm hoping we can still defend here. And for some reason he does actually have Miner in his deck, so it could be a little bit more difficult to defend, but we still have a good chance at defending here if we can like stack a few Firecrackers and all of that stuff. Alright. I'm not saying I'm a little bit scared of Golem being super broken this meta. I feel like it's actually gonna be quite OP with some of this buffed support cards. Like I remember Golden Knight was super OP with Golem before the Golden Knight got like a really big nerf, and even when it did get nerfed, it was still like not half bad with Golem. So I am a little bit worried about that, but I feel like the delivery decks will probably counter Golem. Like there's a ton of mirror royal delivery decks going around, so hopefully that will kind of stop the advance of Golem. But also Elixir Collector does pay really well with Golem, so could be quite a strong deck. But we'll have to see how the meta shapes out. But honestly, I'm really happy with these balance changes, except of the EQ being super strong, and mainly just due to the Queen. Alright, hoping in this next match here, we're going to be up against this guy. Alright, and yeah, so I was like finishing up a thought in the last match. I didn't quite get to finish it, but basically I was saying like, I'm quite happy with the last balance changes. The only thing that I feel like could have been nerfed was EQ. Like I know I am like maybe sounding a bit strange because I play EQ in my main deck, so I should like probably want it to be OP, but honestly it is quite broken. Like those mirror EQ decks just made me feel like EQ probably does need a nerf. Definitely, I definitely don't want it to get a big nerf, but I wouldn't mind it getting like 5% less crown tower damage or something like that, because I feel like it is quite strong to cycle on those towers. And yeah, but it's also like quite a combination of things. Like the EQ's OP because of the buildings that are meta, and also like the I don't know, I just feel like it's just like a solid card, cheap card, and kind of fits well in the cycle decks as well. And obviously the Archer Queen pairs super well with the Earthquake, so that's definitely one of the biggest reasons why it's OP. But I don't really see those buildings or the Archer Queen going out of the meta anytime soon, so I feel like they might have to touch Earthquake itself just a little bit. And honestly, it's not even bad for me if they nerf Earthquake, because I feel like I like Hog Earthquake better when it's just like really low-key. Like it's very good if you play it perfectly, but it's not anything too meta, because last season like pretty much everyone was trying to snipe decks like Hog Earthquake or Royal Hog's Earthquake because of how popular it was. So kind of actually makes it a little bit harder to push up, even though it is like so OP at that time. So I kind of prefer it just to be like very strong, but not like insanely broken like it kind of is recently. Like last meta it was actually super broken, but just because of all the counter snipe decks, it wasn't really as good as it could have been at the top of ladder at least. Alright, and luckily we'll be facing Expo here, so pretty good matchup. Honestly, when they do have Archer Queen, it does get to be a little bit harder than normal, but he does have Archers here luckily, because Archers did actually get a small buff, so I feel like Expo could actually be decent, because Ice Spirit got a buff and Archers got a buff, so it's like a couple tiny buffs to maybe help out Expo users just a little bit. But I'm not really sure if they're gonna stay with Ice Spirit, or they're gonna keep using, or they're gonna like use E-Spirit as they were in the last meta. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. But yeah, just really refreshing though to see like the meta kind of go back to how it used to be like quite some time ago. Alright, and since I wasn't really commentating over the matches in the previous game, I'm just gonna commentate this one, hopefully a little bit better. So when you're up against Expo, you can't really be like as freely cycling your Earthquakes as you could against when you have Queen in your deck, because you don't cycle back to more Earthquakes as quickly, since you don't have like the 3-card cycle that the Queen can offer you. But you can still cycle Earthquakes when you know you're in the right position, and you're usually like up a couple of Elixir or something like that, because you can kind of like block up the lane with like a Firecracker, then go with Earthquakes pretty freely on their towers. And he doesn't even have to Fireball on defense there, so that's why I was like pretty okay with going with the Earthquake as well, because I knew he'd have to spend quite a ton to defend all of that well enough. So he's gonna get a tiny Expo lock there. He's getting like little bits of chip damage, but the nice thing is that he's going same lane as us, so he's not really able to go with Expos as freely as he'd like to, because we're just always getting Earthquake damage on his tower. And it's always good to chip both of their towers when you're playing against Expos, so that way you can get spell value on either tower. I'm actually going to go with the Tesla there. Wasn't really doing it to predict an Expo, kind of just like blocking up the lane, so you can't go with an Expo in the right lane for like 30 seconds unless he defends it. And okay, I think he's actually going to give up here, so yeah, easy video and easy wins. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye!